Merry Christmas and welcome to the Scarlet Report, everyone. Guys, I want to apologize. I haven't posted regularly in the past couple of weeks, but man, life gets in the way. Adulthood is extremely overrated. It never ends. It never ends. But anyway, I'm back here with the video and we're going to talk about the Ratcliffe takeover at Manchester United. It's confirmed now. The Glazers are selling 25% of the club's shares to Ratcliffe, both A and B shares, giving Ratcliffe 100% control over footballing decisions. This is huge news, and this video is an evaluation of this Ratcliffe deal as well as the Sheikh Jassim Al Thani, the Qatar deal, to see whether Manchester United got an actual good deal or whether we missed out on the Qatari deal. Let's discuss. Alright, so let's start by talking about this business partnership between Ratcliffe and the Glazers. First of all, from a business perspective, this makes perfect sense because whenever you bring in partners, it's not just a matter of money, it's also a matter of core competencies. Basically, what you are trying to do is to bring in a partner who adds something new, something that you don't have in your current organization, and the aim is to create synergy. That means that the new company with the two new partners has to be better than the original company with just the one partner, in this case, the Glazers. And I think that Ratcliffe is the perfect partner to complement the Glazers because of his, or should I say, the people that he's going to bring in, people like Jean-Claude Blanc, for example, or Sir Dave Brailsford, who have that experience and expertise in managing sporting organizations that the Glazers don't have. Okay? And so for the Glazers, from their perspective, I think what is happening is that they're feeling the heat. And this is great news for us Manchester United fans. They're feeling the heat, not necessarily from the fan protests, but from the numbers that are being presented to them in every boardroom meeting. They see that the Manchester United brand, their only asset, by the way, the Manchester United name, is being dragged through the mud. With every defeat, every spineless defeat, every disappointing finish in the league, the Manchester United brand loses its value, their shares lose their value. So they know that whatever it is that they've been doing for the past 10 years, or not doing because of negligence, simply didn't work. So now they're throwing in the towel. They are not ready to leave completely because they know that this is an amazing asset, Manchester United, so they are not going to give it up easily, but they know that they've messed up. And so they're bringing in someone who knows what he's doing. This is why it is now confirmed 100% that Ratcliffe and his side are fully in charge of football operations. This comes to my second point, which is that for us Manchester United fans, this is also great news because Ratcliffe, he's not the one who's going to be making the decisions. I follow Nice and I'm going to be making a video about that. He's not the one making the decisions, but what he's great at is actually delegating that to people who know their stuff. And he's going to do the same thing at Manchester United. The other thing is that he knows that now his name and INEOS' name are on the spotlight. Every time things don't go well on the pitch, everyone's going to point the finger at him, not at the Glazers. That means that for his ego's sake, he has every bit of interest to make sure that he puts the right people with the right competences in the right positions so that Manchester United has the best chance of improving on the pitch. And I think that that is extremely exciting. Alright, but then some of you are gonna say, hey, but Mr. Scarlet Report, how about the Glazers? I hate those guys. They need to leave the club. They are leeches. And I agree with you. I agree with you, and I don't think that there is anyone who likes the Glazers. But here is the problem. Manchester United is their private property. They own the club. That means you cannot force them to sell. I could buy a house. I could decorate it in the ugliest decoration possible, make the whole neighborhood look bad, and yet nobody has the right to take off those decorations because it's my house. Do you understand? So there is no way that the Glazers can be kicked out because they're gonna stay. So now we have to take a small win. The small win is that they are not in charge of the football decisions. Most of their time they're in Florida, away. So we don't want them to be running the club on a day-to-day basis. They want to take dividends, that's fine, but they are not in charge of the football operations. That's already a small win that we can take. Another thing you might say is, well, how about the Qatar deal? Well, here's what I'm gonna say. The Qatar deal, from the beginning, of course, I did not want to talk about the takeover news because nothing was confirmed, but here's what I'm gonna say about it. I was never on that deal. I never liked it because at first it does sound attractive. Okay, he's gonna come in, total buyout of the club, bye-bye Glazers, he's gonna inject cash, take off the debt, just pay it off, and then just invest in a new stadium, training facilities, and the community. Great, that sounds great. But the problem at Manchester United has never been money. And the other thing is, while with Ratcliffe, we had a clear idea of what his plans were. There's already talk about who are the people he's going to bring in. He's geared towards efficient operations. We didn't have the same thing with Sheikh Jassim Al-Thani from Qatar. We had no idea what his plans were. Maybe he was hiding his plans until things became clearer, but all we know is that he's one guy with a lot of money. That's all it is. Even companies from Qatar who own PSG, like QSI, for example, they are enterprises, consortiums. But with the case of Sheikh Jassim Al-Thani, he's just one guy. So we have no idea what his plans are. And all you need to do is to look at Chelsea. Chelsea have tons of money. They have owners that have a lot of money, but they have owners who have no idea what they're doing. And so now they find themselves in a situation where they're spending hundreds of millions on players. Nobody knows, not even the manager knows what their best starting 11 is. And so they are in an even worse shape than us. A team that just 3 years ago were lifting the Champions League trophy under Tuchel. So the thing with this Qatar deal is that it just sounds good on paper, but I was never sure or never sold on its chances of succeeding at Manchester United. And I'm going to explain that more in detail. Manchester United has the highest net transfer spend out of all the clubs all around the world. Manchester United has spent a net 1.2 billion pounds, and that's since 2014. If you include the David Moyes transfers, Fellaini and Juan Mata, then you can just round that to 1.3 billion, not including agent fees and wages, which Manchester United are notorious for overpaying. That's a lot of money. What this shows me is that Manchester United's issues are not money issues, but rather efficiency issues. The whole field of economics is built upon the principle of efficient resource allocations. And no company that is so inefficient can ever be successful. And so Manchester United are unsuccessful because of their lack of efficiency. Notice how some brilliant clubs, brilliantly run clubs like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool are not even in the top 10. And yet many of you would think that their owners spent a lot of money. No, they spent their money wisely. At Manchester United, we have a lot of money, but we don't know how to use it properly. Now let's look on this list and let's just use some examples of clubs that we aspire to be at the same level as, let's say Arsenal and Manchester City. By no means the most efficient clubs on the list, but still clubs that realistically Manchester United could aspire to be like as far as efficiency is concerned. I'm going to show you how with efficient methods, Manchester United could actually be able, without any cash injections from Qatar or anyone else, be able to afford all of their transfer targets, as well as investments in the training pitch, in the training facilities, and a new stadium. We spent 1.2 billion pounds or 1.3 billion pounds. Had we had good administrators, good directors of football, people in the boardroom who knew how to make good decisions, people like Jean-Claude Blanc, for example, or Paul Mitchell, or Dan Ashworth, all of these people could have made a huge difference for Manchester United. By making the footballing operations more efficient, what you get is this. First of all, you have a clear idea of how you want the team to play. Therefore, you buy players based on that play style. Younger players that have a high ceiling, high potential, who can contribute now, but also grow in their ability and in their value in the future. That means that every 2 or 3 years, whenever you need to re-galvanize the team, you can sell some of the assets that you have. They are going to be much more sellable than our current assets because they've played in a good system that makes them look good. The numbers are good, therefore more teams want them. They are at a good age. They have not been paid inflated wages. Therefore, they are all more attractive. The demand for these players is going to be high from other clubs. We can sell them and bring in new players the way Real Madrid does, the way Liverpool does. Okay? Also, with efficient footballing operations, we will have an academy with clear pathways, either through sending players on loan so that they get first team football, they get the increases in their values, and then they are sold their assets, or they are integrated into the first team, leading to, of course, less of a need to go into the transfer market and to buy players. All of these efficient footballing operations would need to us not needing to spend 1.2 or 1.3 freaking billion pounds on transfers in order for us to get a squad that can compete. If Real Madrid, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich, who are not even on the list, can actually compete for the top honors, if Manchester City and Arsenal, who are now at the top of the league, can of course compete without spending the money that we did, then so can we. But we haven't been able to do that because we don't have the right people with the right competencies in the right position. We are not efficient. And you cannot solve that with more money. Saying that you need more money right now at Manchester United is to just say, okay, the way to put out a fire is to put more gasoline into the fire. You spend as much as Arsenal or Manchester City through efficient operations in the transfer market. That means it leaves you a surplus of 400, 500 million pounds. You can then add other sources of financing through loans. I'm not going to get in detail into that. I'm going to talk about it, how we can finance the stadium when I talk about Jean-Claude Blanc, the man who could be our CEO going forward. But there are other creative ways you can add financing methods for you to be able to invest in renovating the stadium and renovating the training facilities, all with that 1.2 or 1.3 billion pounds net that we have spent in the transfer market. So efficiency beats money injections. We don't need money. The club already generates a lot of money. It just needs to be used wisely. And so far, the reason why I trust in the Ratcliffe deal more than the Qatar deal is that Ratcliffe is actually has a plan of who are the people that he wants to bring in that are gonna turn us into a much more efficient organization. And if we do that, then we are definitely going to be successful in the long term. Think about it this way. Let's say you had saved 1 million pounds for your 16-year-old teenager, is a brat, knows nothing about how the world works, right? You have two choices. You can give him that 1 million pounds, or you can put that 1 million pound in an investment fund so that it grows in value, so that in the next 10 years, when that teenager, graduates from college, is more mature, knows how the world works, then he can use a much bigger amount of money because it grew in value to do something better, to start a business or whatever. Given the 16-year-old, the 1 million pound is the Qatar deal. Given it to a Manchester United organization that is unprofessional, rotten to the core, that doesn't have the right decision makers. It's just going to be another waste of money and another waste of time for everyone. Ratcliffe's deal is actually the investment option. Using the money that you have wisely through efficiency. And this is why I believe that this deal could actually be a much better deal for Manchester United in the long run. Now, I know that this is a sensitive topic. I know that a lot of Manchester United fans were really excited about the Qatar deal. A lot of Manchester United fans, including myself, are really mad at the Glazers and we just want them out of the club. But I think that this is the best of both worlds. You cannot get 100%. Sometimes you have to settle for 50, 60%. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. In fact, I have an idea. I want to make a Q&A video based on what you guys post in the comment section. So I read a lot of your comments. However, because of time, you see, I barely have time to post videos. Sometimes I cannot respond directly in the comment section. But what I plan on doing, especially with this topic, since it's an open conversation, every question that you ask there or every insight that you put in the comment section, I'm just going to take the best ones and I'm going to make a video around them. So put whatever you have to say in there, whether it's a question, whether it's insight, whether it's something that I've missed, something that you disagree with me. And then I'm going to turn it into a Q&A video in the next 48 hours. Until next time, cheers.